Let's talk about the second and third steps in the recipe for precipitation, namely the presence of cloud condensation nuclei and the growth of droplets or crystals. So with regards to the cloud condensation nuclei, the idea here is that even when a parcel of air reaches saturation, it's 100% relative humidity, it's at the dew point, it's not possible for the droplets to grow in size unless they have something to hold on to, something to grow off of. And these are called cloud condensation nuclei. So they're these tiny, tiny little particles that have to be present in the air in order for the water droplets to grow. How tiny are we talking? We're talking 10 to the negative 2 to 10 to the 2 microns. And remember, a micron is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. This is 10 raised to the 2, 100 microns to 0.01 microns. And these things can be anything like dust particles, they might be smoke, they can be clays that are suspended in the atmosphere, things like ash, and even sea salt. It's not possible for water. In order to get droplets without these, you would have to go well over saturation to something like 200 to 300% relative humidity. Now, the second point is that once you do have droplets, they may just hang out and form a cloud. You may not actually get precipitation to fall. So in order to actually get something to get appreciable or measurable precipitation on the ground surface, the droplets have to grow in size. And so they must grow to sufficient size such that, one, their fall velocity is big enough. Usually it needs to be more than 1 meter per second. And the idea here is that many clouds actually have updrafts within them. And even if a droplet is falling, if it's reached terminal velocity, if it's not falling fast enough, it's not going to fall out of that rising column of air. And then the second point here is that as it's falling, it needs to survive evaporation and sublimation on its way to the surface. Recall that sublimation is the direct transformation of solid water or ice into vapor or gas. And in order to do this, it occurs via, it needs to grow in size because it's always going to be evaporating and sublimating. So it does this via droplet collision and ice crystal growth. And you can imagine that once a droplet is reached big enough that it started to fall, it's going to evaporate, but it may hit other droplets on its way down in such a way that it tends to grow in size. So these are two of the other necessary steps in our recipe for precipitation.